Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are Lauren Tucci from Gilded Pear Gallery and Marcia Wegman, who has a solo artist show up at the gallery right now. Marcia, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Dennis.
And Lauren, as always, thanks for joining us from the studio with Marcia's paintings in the background, as those who are watching the video feed can see.
Yeah, nice to see you again, Dennis.
Before we talk specifically about this show, and of course we were going to do this interview a week or so ago, but there was a little storm in Cedar Rapids. So first off, tell me how the gallery and how your own place got through, Lauren.
Well, we didn't really realize what was coming in to Cedar Rapids, but we were all at the gallery at the time, Susie and myself, and we weathered the storm at the gallery, listening to the high winds and everything banging around outside, broken glass from across the street. But the gallery survived. None of the artists had any of their work damaged or any of our clients' work damaged, which was very good. So we kind of escaped, I would say, mildly unscathed in comparison to a lot of our business neighbors down here. And then we were preoccupied for that week, as many people were, trying to take care of our homes and helping out neighbors and things like that. And we didn't have power here at the gallery for a solid week, and then a solid 2 weeks without any internet or phone. So yes, we're catching up and doing the best that we can going forward, and continuing on with this exhibition.
Marcia, Iowa City didn't get hit quite as hard as Cedar Rapids, but still it was a pretty big blow. How's everything at your house?
A mess outside, but I was lucky. I had the top third of a very tall pine tree land on my roof, and that's been removed, but there's still debris everywhere, waiting for my tree person to come back and haul it away. And I'm a gardener, so it's hard to see it as it is, but we were fortunate. I think I was. Nothing permanent.
Marcia's exhibit is up right now, and as I said, those who are watching the video can see some of the paintings in the background, and we'll talk about that. But Marcia, why don't you tell me a little bit about you paint both in pastels and acrylic. You both do landscapes and then more abstract work. And I know, talking about your garden, that you also take a lot of inspiration from the garden. So let's start with, you do landscapes and you do abstracts. What is it about wanting to go back and forth between those two somewhat divergent things that kind of scratches your artistic itch?
Well, going back and forth is a very refreshing process. With the pastel landscapes, I'm working from photographs that I've taken in Johnson County for the most part, but other parts of Iowa too. And I'm using those photographs as reference material, so I might use 2 or 3 photos for the same painting. But I'm working with something very specific. With the abstracts, it's a totally different process because I don't really know where it's. I might start with just a few colors that I want to work with. It's a playful process. It's experimental. So it's just quite different from doing the landscapes. And that's why Lauren and I chose the title, because it's from an outer place and from an inner place as far as what I'm working from.
Have you always done both, or did you start with one and then add the other as time went by?
Oh no, it's been a very long process. I came to the University of Iowa 63 years ago, I think, to get an MFA in printmaking with Mauricio Lazansky, which I did. Never did another print. So in the meantime, I've worked in many different mediums. It wasn't until kind of an accidental process in 1999 that I discovered pastels. Because when I was in graduate school, pastels were considered only for Sunday painters, pastels and watercolor, which to me is the very most difficult medium. And so I had never tried it. And when I finally did, with a very poor quality set of pastels and very inappropriate paper, I just loved it. It was such a combination of painting and drawing, both of which I love, that just changed everything. And I really focused on that for a long time. I have worked abstractly off and on over the years, but I'm working in a very different process now. I'm working on something called Yupo paper, which is Japanese, and it is a very slick plastic paper and very interesting to work on. And I just find it quite exciting and different each time I do a painting. So that's the combination.
Lauren Tucci, as you were mounting the exhibit with both the inner and the outer of Marcia's work, did you, and as you're putting the paintings up, are you seeing some connections, some thematic things that aided you in putting everything together?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ones that you can kind of see behind me here, I'll kind of talk about. The same type of energies exist in some of the landscapes and the abstracts. And so the far one that appears to be a storm has a similar energy to this abstract one here, where it's using space in a very similar way and colors, but they exist incredibly differently as far as what the viewer is seeing, but similar colors, similar energies, similar gestural motions in the landscape are also reflected in some of the broken down imagery in the abstracts. And you can see a lot of the beautiful garden that I think Marcia is thinking about in some of the coloring, and using the textures in each of the abstract pieces. And so the parallels are very much, you can see the artist in them entirely. They don't appear as too stark of a difference.
We've now mentioned your garden a couple of times, Marcia. In your artist statement, you talk about your work in your garden being artistic in the same way that doing your painting is, that in the summertime, your garden is your canvas. Tell me about that a little bit.
When I do any artwork, I think the composition is probably my primary focus, at least to begin with. So when I'm working outside in my garden, it's like I have all these little paintings that I have to compose. And when I'm looking this direction, I'm thinking compositionally, but working with foliage, color, texture. So there's a definite relationship.
The exhibit is inner and outer. I know that, Lauren, we got off to a little bit of a late start. You're still scheduled to go through the 2nd of October?
Yes, we are.
And of course, it's not as easy to visit it's easy to visit the gallery. It's just not as easy to get out and do stuff. So I know that you're doing showings by appointment and virtual viewings of Marcia's work. So for those who haven't heard our past conversations post-pandemic, walk us through how that works.
Sure. The entire show is available for viewing and purchasing online on our website. We are able to schedule private viewings, so you can create an appointment by contacting us also on the website or giving us a call. We did recently open up our business hours, so you can drop by if you would like, but we will request that you wear a mask when you're visiting us. We do have Marcia's virtual reception where we open it up to the public virtually, and they can ask questions to the artist. That is scheduled for September 18th, and we will have the link to RSVP for that up very shortly. So check our website for more information, and we hope to see you.
The exhibit is Inner and Outer with Marcia Wegman's work at the Gilded Pear Gallery near downtown Cedar Rapids. And again, gallery's open. You can also make an appointment, and the virtual reception is the 18th?
September 18th.
Okay. And of course, people can visit your website if they'd like to look at the paintings and find out more. And that address is?
gildedpeargallery.com.
Want to thank you both for being with me today. Marcia, thanks for joining me from your studio in Iowa City.
Thanks, Dennis.
And Lauren, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for bringing us the view from the gallery.
Yep. Thanks so much, Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio a lot of weekdays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or using your favorite podcasting app. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.